Hey everyone, Rogue Guild here, and today I wanted to chat about something that I have been very interested in lately, and that is conflict. I know, big surprise. Before we start, let me know what your favorite conflict map is down below. I'm really curious what maps people enjoy and which ones they don't. I have a feeling it might be different from the ones that I do, so I'm very curious on that. Let me know down below if you do not mind. So you may have noticed that in a lot of my recent videos, they've all had conflict gameplay in the back, and I've actually been enjoying it a fair bit lately. And that's a surprise, even to me. It was a topic that I was very curious to gauge everyone's thoughts on. It's kind of just been something that I've held in bad regard for forever, basically. I kind of internally tied it to year one, and I wanted to stay as far away from that as possible. So aside from a few glaring issues, which we'll talk about, I actually don't think it's in that too bad of a place after playing it for the last few days, almost a week, I would say. There's been a lot of quality of life updates that Massive have done to it since Red Storm departed. I don't know how many people are aware of that. It's kind of hard to pinpoint all of them since I've never played a ton of Conflict in the first place. You know, for perspective on all of this, I'm not even ranked 100 in Conflict, which by this time, when Last Stand was out, I guess by now Div 2 would have been out 2 years after Last Stand released. But anyway, I was rank 100 in Last Stand pretty early on, but I'm not even rank 100 in this. I'm like 88. You know, I'm a DZ guy in Div 2 especially. But it's warming up to me, and I feel like I do now want to push those last 12 levels to get to rank 100 in Conflict. But yeah, like I was saying, the quality of life stuff, the big one that they added some time back is that they now allow you to swap loadouts in the map voting screen, which is pretty nice. If you don't back out of Conflict in between matches, you can just swap it without having to waste time once the match begins. So that's obviously pretty nice. Over time, Massive has kind of revamped and streamlined various UI elements across the board of Conflict. They redid some of the map images and the loading screens. So say what you will about the lack of PvP development, which of course I've been very vocal on over time, but at least things haven't been like completely neglected as far as Conflict goes. And they did some stuff to the DZ as well. So across the board, at least things haven't been totally neglected. But of course, there could have been a lot more done. The other big positive that I enjoy about Conflict is the maps. I still believe that Capital Ruins is like one of the most beautiful spots in the entire game. I think it's just a really fantastic looking map. And overall, I think they all look great. For the most part, they're also laid out pretty well. I still struggle sometimes to enjoy Fort McNair, and Wharf is a little bit big. Those two kind of feel like 8v8 maps, which is pretty frustrating considering that's kind of what all of us have wanted from Conflict for the longest time. But overall, the art style and the map designs in Conflict, I feel, are pretty solid. So what are those issues that I mentioned? Well, I feel like anyone who has played Conflict for any considerable amount of time can probably guess. One is the spawns. Holy God, they are bad. The idea of having one spawn in general is just bad because that obviously is going to lead to a lot of camping. I can understand why they set it up the way they did. I think it's because they want you to obviously, if you're grouped up with people you don't know or you're not talking to, and you're just playing with a bunch of randoms, they want you to try and play together as a team because at its core, that's what Division is all about. So they spawn you in waves at the same point because they want you to try and work together. But the way that it just was implemented just did not work out. The spawn protection debuff mechanic thing is just abused beyond belief. Like, it can flip. One, it doesn't help you get out of spawn. Right? If you're just in there and the people who are trying to push up get the debuff, they can just jump back out of sight, and then you're still stuck in the thing, because if you start to run out, you have a really, you can't, there's no burst heals, you can't heal while you're moving, really, so you're just kind of screwed either way, and that spawn debuff that it gives to the enemies who are close to your spawn doesn't really help you out unless they're just dumb and they stand right there for you to kill them, because they can jump back out of the way and use a medkit. And sometimes if they all push in there, they can still kill you with the debuff. So in general, that doesn't help out. It can also flip while you're stuck in your own spawn, which just results in you getting obliterated by the one person that spawns behind you while you now have the debuff. So it's a headache. And I'm sure that many of you can relate to that. I don't think I've ever met someone who says, oh, I really love how the Conflict spawn mechanic works. I think it would be much better if you could spawn at multiple points around the map. Maybe you spawn in a protected area, and then similar to in Division 1 where you had to like jump over the Dark Zone gate in some of those areas, something like that might be nice. Then it does de-incentivize some of that team play that I think they're trying to force you to embody. But overall, I feel like that would create a much better gameplay experience. So if there's ever any revisions to Conflict in the future, I certainly hope that the spawn mechanic is one of them, but I don't really see that happening. Also, the Mercy rule is pretty dumb. It'll proc when you're at, like, the other team has 10 and you have 4 lives left. I'm talking about Skirmish. And then it doesn't stop. It doesn't, deactivate the mercy rule unless the team that's under gets to like no lives, or the team that's over drops like drastically. It could start at 10-4, and then even if you get them down to like 5-3, it doesn't stop the mercy. Like, we have a chance at that point, but it doesn't. It just keeps it going unless the team with 3 goes to 0, or the team with 5 just gets way, way down. So that's also pretty dumb, and I question the necessity of a mercy rule mechanic when the games go so fast anyway. So that's just something, another flaw with it, I would say. So obviously it's still flawed in a few ways, like I just said. But overall, I have been enjoying Conflict much more than I anticipated I pretty much ever would lately. It's a bit of a bummer because I think Massive and Redstorm had originally intended to expand Conflict pretty greatly. Like if you look at the queue up screen when you're in your map in the Conflict menu, you launch into quick play every time, which is described as like low intensity and 4v4, yada yada. And I'm sure if things had gone different and if PvP had been more well received at launch, which it didn't really have a chance of that happening, but if it had, I feel like we would have gotten eventually a competitive playlist and probably some others like limited time modes. It probably would have been pretty cool, but that's just not how things turned out, and so now we're just stuck with the one quick play queue, which I still think it'd be better if they divided it into the 3 modes so you could actually play what you wanted. But regardless, that's kind of what we're stuck with. So looking forward, do I see any sort of future for Conflict? I do think it'd be cool if we got maybe one new map with the upcoming Division 2 update. I don't see them doing a new mode or anything like that, especially considering it's just Massive that is now developing this new update. But just adding one new map for the old rule sets to apply to would be nice. They wouldn't have to do any, new coding in that regard. And that would round off the total maps to 6. Might just be kind of nice. But yeah, as far as major Conflict changes going forward, I doubt we're going to see anything. But hey, the future is open to a lot of things. And Yannick did say that we're in for some surprises with this update. So I suppose we will just have to wait and see. Alright guys, well I think that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on to get me updated every time I upload. Let me know all of your Conflict related thoughts down below. Do you agree with my current assessment of Conflict? Is it better than some people think, or is it worse than some people think? And do you see it having any sort of future? Maybe a new map with this coming update? I feel like that would be kind of nice, but maybe some people feel like that would be a waste of resources. And let me know what your favorite map is. I'm really curious on that one. Again, because I feel like some people might disagree with what I'm thinking. So let me know that if you do not mind down below. Alright everyone, thank you once again so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one guys, Row Gold. Out.